This question is, what is the use of map method? I have raised this question to highlight usage of the map method. Map method is one of those methods like find, filter, splice, etc., which are must-know methods. So let's begin with the map method. I will start with an example of it and then we will see the syntax as well. I will create an array of few values, let's say 2, maybe 3, 4, and 5. Let's add one more element in between. Now I will say array.map. It takes a callback function, I can say function, and as we have seen in few questions where the callback function receives parameters, here also we receive the element. We do also receive the index number and the array itself. It is the same thing. Element will receive the individual value, index will receive the index number, and the array is the array reference itself. At the moment, I just try element and index. Let's try to display the value of it and see what happens. Element and index. The map method will loop through the entire array and every element will be passed to this variable and index will receive the index number. Let's run this and see how it works. As you see that it shows all the elements along with the index number. Ideally, this method also returns a new array, and that's where the charm comes in picture. Let's say with this array, I just want to get square of all elements, right? So I can say return the value we will have in the element. So I'll say element into element. This means it is going to multiply the value with value itself and it will return. So it will return the square of it. Here I'll get a new array. At the moment I don't need this index number and I will add the console log here and will display the new array. Now let's see what is the output. Just a single line code which is going to give you square of all the elements. Isn't it fantastic? The map method does this. It returns the new array. Remember, it's very useful because map does not mutate or change the original array. It does return a new array. So you can imagine the kind of functions you can implement with this kind of syntax. With map method, I have used just the function, but you can use the arrow function also. Let's try arrow function. Let's see this. I'll put an arrow here and that's it. So now if I run, the output is going to be the same, but the syntax has changed. As you all know that arrow function can live with single line because return, when you have only one return, you don't need to write return or these brackets. So let's change that also. I'll remove these brackets. We'll also remove the return statement and we don't even need this curly bracket. We'll have this bracket only. That's it. You see, single line, and this is going to return square of all elements. Even we can remove this parentheses as well with arrow function. So this is how it is going to be. So the map method is very useful. There is a function, a callback function which receives the element, index number and the array also, and it returns the new array, right? This is how it works. Let's see the syntax of it. So the syntax is like this, that we have the new array returned. We say array name.map and it takes a callback function. So it can be an arrow function also, but we are writing function like this only at the moment. The first parameter is every element passed to the array. Optional is the index and the array itself. It also takes this argument after the function, after the callback function. So this is also a reference of the callback function, but you have to take care whether you are using the arrow function or the traditional function. Depending on that, this value can be different. Directly if you try to refer this argument, it is going to be undefined. Now let's discuss relative questions of this topic. The first question is find length of each element in a new array. Let's say we have array of few elements. I'll say apple, banana and oranges. Now we want to find length of every element. Very easy. Let's try this with map method. I'll say let length of array. I'll create a new array called LARR and here I'll say array.map Now I'm not going to write the function the long way, but instead we will go with the shorter syntax. So I'll say element arrow function, right? And I'm not writing a return statement also. We have already seen in the example just before few seconds. So I'll say element dot length. That's it. And I will display the LARR, that is length array. Let us see what is the output here. You see every element's length is displayed. The second question is find the square root of every element and store it in a new array. This again can be very easy. Let's say instead of these string values, let's make 25, maybe 16, let's say 144 and 36, right? Now what we want is we want to have square root of each element, and that we want in the new array. So instead of this element length, now I will say math dot square root, and the only thing you have to pass is the element which is received. This is the received value which I am passing here, and it will return the square root and it will create the new array. Let's run this and see whether we get the desired output, right? So the square root of 25 is 5, and respectively it has displayed all the square roots. Third question is there is an array called products as shown here. Get all product names, that is P names, in a new array. Now here the question is that one wants to fetch all the products or a single key in fact of this object literal, that is P name in this case, in a separate array. How can we do this? Again, we can use the map method to fetch all product names or all product codes or any key for that matter and store it in a new array. Let's try this. I will have this in the code window. Let's go to the code window and let's say we create this array. We have this array ready. Now what I want is I just want to get these P names in one array. So I will create a new array called P names, for example, and there I will say products dot map, right? Every element is passed. Now remember, when this every element is passed here, each element is an object literal. So this entire P code and P name is passed in element. So in other words, element will have something like this, one object literal every time till the end of array. And now what it should return is, it should return the element dot P name, isn't it? Because it's an object literal. And we do not write this return statement because it's a single line. So I'll remove this return. That's it. And then we display the entire array. So I'll say P names. That's the array we want to display. That's the new array created by map method. Now if we run, we get all the P name, that is a key from an object literal, and we have assigned to the new array. We do also have destructuring in ES6, which is already discussed in one of the section, but this is also kind of destructuring we have done. The only thing is we have changed from one structure to another, that is object literal to array. Do make sure that you are clear with map method. It is a very useful method and used in most of the real world applications. When we have to loop through the array and we have to display the data maybe on a page, or we draw the DOM, at that time we use map a lot.